was over. We thought it was over. 5 months. 5 months of the locusts. The stinging. The screaming that never stopped, day or night. The sound of men begging for death, pleading with the gray, smoke-choked sky for an end that refused to come. You could see it in their eyes, the madness, the way they clawed at their own skin, trying to dig out the venom that burned like liquid violet fire in their veins. We watched them throw themselves from the ruined rooftops of their great cities, only to land, broken and bleeding, and then gasp and stand up again, cursing God because the grave had closed its door to them. When the 5 months ended and the last of those biomechanical nightmares retreated back into the smoke of the abyss, there was a silence. It was not a peaceful silence. It was the silence of a battlefield when the ammunition runs dry. The silence of exhausted terror. The air was thick, heavy, stained yellowish brown by the lingering smoke from the bottomless pit. It tasted of ash and copper. We looked at the survivors. 2/3 of humanity remained. Broken, scarred, their minds shattered by the torment. And yet, I saw them return to their golden idols. I saw them crawl back to the altars of demons, thanking their false gods of wood and stone that they had survived. They wiped the blood of the locust sting from their skin and immediately lifted their hands to murder their neighbor for a crust of bread.
I said he's mine! You bit me! Let go!
They returned to their sorceries, trying to conjure protections against the heavens. They did not repent.
Keep them bound, keep them under, keep them under. Let the chain never rust, let the stone...
And because their hearts were harder than the stones of the ruined cities, the first woe was merely the prologue. I was standing in the ruins of what was once a great market. The dust was ankle deep. The smell of rotting bodies that could not die for 5 months, but now finally could, was overwhelming. And then I saw him, the 6th angel. He was not like the paintings in your cathedrals. He was not soft light and feathers. He was a towering monolith of ancient power, standing atop a pile of rubble. He looked like he was carved from volcanic glass and weathered bronze, heavy and terrifyingly solid against the bruised sky. He held a trumpet, a massive twisted horn that looked like it had been torn from some primordial beast and scorched in a furnace. He raised it to his lips. The blast. It was not music. It was a physical blow. The air buckled. The ground beneath my feet thumped hard, knocking me to my knees. Dust exploded upwards from the ruins around me. My ears rang, a high-pitched squeal that drowned out my own gasp of fear. It was a sound that cracked the foundation of the world, and immediately following the blast, a voice. It came from everywhere and nowhere at once. It resonated in my chest cavity. It seemed to emanate from the four horns of the golden altar that exists in the true reality beyond this shadow world. The voice was cold, absolute, and terrifying in its authority.
Release the four who are bound at the great river. Their hour, their day, their month, and their year has come.
The vision shifted. I was no longer in the ruined city. I was standing on the banks of the great river Euphrates. But it was not the river you know. It was dying. The water was sluggish, thick with mud and silt, receding rapidly from its banks, leaving wide swaths of cracked, sun-baked earth that smelled of ancient decay. The ground began to tremor. At first, it was a low hum, like a massive subterranean machine powering up. The water in the remaining river channel began to froth and bubble, turning an ugly, churning brown. The mud on the exposed banks began to heave. It was obscene. It was like watching the earth vomit. Great fissures opened in the wet clay, and from the muck they rose. The four. They had been prepared for this exact hour, this day, this month, this year. They had waited for millennia, buried under the weight of the river, bound by chains of unseen spiritual iron that glowed with a dull, hateful heat. As they rose from the mud, sheets of wet earth sloughed off their massive forms. They were monstrous, ancient warlords of a forgotten age, their skin pale and bloated from eons under the water, veined with black corruption. They reeked of the deep, stagnant grave. They stretched, and the sound of their ethereal chains breaking was like the snapping of rusted suspension cables. They stood tall, four pillars of malevolence against the darkening sky. They looked out at the world with eyes that held no humanity, only an endless, ancient hunger for destruction. They had one purpose, one mandate from the throne: to kill a third of mankind. Not to torment,